Everybody, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and on the mic today is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He's going to be making sure you can see all the action and following me around with a zoomed-in robotic camera so you can see all those watercolor effects. Today, I'm going to show you how to paint a little ballerina because we were painting ballerinas over on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to show you how to do it in watercolor. Let's look at our materials. I have a 140-pound 9x12 watercolor block. That's also sometimes called 300 gram. This is cold press. I like cold press because the pockets make interesting things happen to paint. I got a couple watercolor brushes by Silver Brush. These are black velvet. I have yellow ochre, rose madder, opera pink, permanent yellow deep, Prussian blue, ivory black, and bamboo green. I'm going to start out, John, with my number 8 brush.
All right.
I'm going to dip this in some water and take this over here to my yellow ochre to kind of get a little wetness of that going out. And then I'm going to mix some of this red in here and see if I can get anything that remotely, to me, resembles a skin tone. I'm going to, wow, that just was almost a skin tone and then it went all red. Dipping back in the water and just bring this over because I just need, the lightest little glaze here. That's what I'm doing. I'm adding a lot of water to the brush and just pushing this pigment color out lightly. I just rinsed out so that there's just even less pigment. And I'm just trying to make a very light, fair little skin tone. That's what I'm trying to do, John. That is the attempt.
It's looking pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? You watching? Do you think they're watching at home too?
I think they're watching.
They shouldn't be. They should be painting. They should be painting a lot. That's the whole reason I make these videos. Sorry, guys. All right, so I'm just going to be anywhere I feel like I have skin tone. I'm going to be doing this. I want to say I talked with John about the traceables, and they will be on the website, all the ones from the watercolor, within the next, 24 hours, yeah?
I'm glad this is, recorded and in time travel mode. That means soon.
Soon. Right? You can see I'm just doing this. I just dipped in water, and then I'm going to wipe off on my brush, and that's going to let me lift up some of the color. See how that does? It lifts some of the color. It's really funny going from, kind of an acrylic day, John.
Yep.
To watercolor day, because all the thinking is so different in the paint.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've got to be like, wait, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, watercolor. It works differently. So acrylic, I layer and layer and pull up color, where I do something similar in watercolor, but I have to treat everything as a glaze. If I don't, then it's not very opaque and I lose my ability to paint things in. So I have to proceed very cautiously. I would say that is the characterization of what I would say that is cautiously. I'm going to get a little tiny bit of my black over here because I need a shadow. I don't want a dark one, so I just wanted to darken this a bit. And I'm just going to come up in the back there, and I'm going to do a little of this here under the arm, like you do, making a little bit of a shape or shadow. Small amount, all glazy. Glazy, glazy, glazy. And then the next thing I feel like I want to do, I want to have some interesting little something around the skirt. But I got to figure out where to start. So I'm going to take my 3/4 oval, and I'm going to really wet the area where my skirt's going to be for the first layer. Just wet that, and I'm going to do some blooming washes into here. The paint's only going to go where my water is. It's the only place it'll go. It's not allowed to go anywhere else. It's contained. It's like a force field against water.
It's true.
It is true.
It doesn't leave there.
I'm going to grab some just plain opera and just brush this out in the very lightest little possible pink that I could. A little bit of this brushed out. Light little pinks. How we're doing. I am paying attention to those brushstroke directions, but as soon as it hits the water, it really softens. I'm going to get a lot more pink. I'm going to come from the bottom up a little bit. Just kind of pulling these little lines, but they're going to soften as I go. So I just want to keep the curve of them. while I'm adding the pigment. Looks like I picked up a little bit of yellow, but I'm not stressed. Mostly because it's a tutu. But just back and forth, just making sure that's a little bit there. Now I'm going to intentionally grab some yellow. I thought it was pretty. And pull it up lightly into this flouncy, pouncy little skirt that it has going on. Now, very carefully, around the figure, now this is very careful because, again, everywhere the water is, it goes. Isn't that right, John?
Oh, that's what you say.
Well, you're following me with the camera on a zoomed in. I hope what I say is true, but you're following me with the camera. You should be able to verify my words.
I am watching.
I always feel like. Yep. So that's happening now everywhere. It's not contained anymore, John. I'm just putting this bit of water out so I can do some more washes. I really like my Prussian blue against all of this. And I wanted to have sort of a dramatic amount of Prussian kind of going on. I'm going to get a bunch of my Prussian blue, and I'm really loading my number 8. And I'm going to come around her. And I'm going to let that just bloom into the water that I've laid out. I may have to add some more water to it. This particular brand of watercolor is less traveling than other ones that I've used. And that's actually its feature. So for watercolors that want a little more control over where everything goes, this would be preferred. But we all know I'm not into being in control.
A little bit of chaos.
A little bit of chaos? You've been married to me a long time, you know. Just pulling it in a little bit around the hand. Coming around here. And it just kind of makes a little bit of an interesting space, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of blue around her. I like the playfulness of watercolor, John.
Me too.
Feels just cheerful and up for it and game for all the good stuff. You seen some?
Oh, no. Just watching.
Well, I know the community's not here, so it's not chatting, so I didn't know what you I was like, did you somehow figure out how to make us go live?
Did someone just ask a question?
I think my mom actually picked out her community was doing that, pretending to be live when she wasn't. Okay, unrelated to the painting. I'm just painting in the blue here. I just want to make sure that she's got this blue around her.
Patty would like to know what brush you're using.
You would like to know a number 8 black velvet round. So basically a 6, an 8, or a 10 round brush. You've got to have that in watercolor. I split the difference with the 8. If I worked on any larger pieces than this, I would up myself to a 10.
Yeah.
And see how I'm just like kind of letting that be?
Now, how much water are you using when you're going over getting that?
So I go right in and I let the belly of the brush soak everything in and I pull it out. Yeah, I do?
Yeah.
I can even take this through this waterway.
That's really cool. I'm zooming on that.
I don't know what's happening there. I'm being artsy.
Oh, that's really cool, though.
And that's so helpful because we have an art show. So the trick is I've got to stop early.
Yeah.
Or I will be sorry. I'm going to get a little of my black very lightly onto my brush. You can kind of see I just bring it around. And I will leave some white of this up. But most of it's actually probably going to be this soft little gray because I'm trying to show that it has form. It's sometimes hard to keep the white on the paper because you just want to fill it all in. It's the temptation, right? So I just put a lot of pigment there, and I felt like too much, so I rinsed out my brush, and I'm going to come blend and soften here. I do want a little darkness at this waist, and maybe a little bit coming up, that's fine. Now the next fun bit I'm going to do, because I want her hair to be quite dark. I'm going to get my black. And I'm going to kind of come around the bun on the tip of the brush. Just come around the bun. And And then I'm going to have the center of the bun. And I'm going to just sort of do these little strokes out that you see here. Now at the back, I'm going to take them to the back of the bun, but as I'm coming forward, I'm going to kind of marry the other side with that sort of strokes. And this is how I'm preserving the white reflection in the hair. Not always easy to do, my friend. Not always easy to do. I'm loading up a bunch more black. Then I can come here and I'll let that bleed through. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
And that leaves her a little bit there. And then I'm going to come right here. And I'll probably have, I'll dry brush it first a little bit at the sides where there's some reflections, right? And I can come down the neck. On the tip of my brush, I get really on that last little bit of hair. And I'll come back here and I'm again trying to preserve some reflections that we might expect to see in very shiny dark hair. And then I'll come back and load up a bunch of black pigment and deepen the hair.
Now, if you were doing like a different colored hair, could you just use like red or?
Yeah, I would. If I was doing red hair, I'd probably work with a burnt sienna base. If I was doing blonde hair, I'd probably gray a yellow ochre base with a little bit of either black or, interestingly enough, even green. Like into it's sort of fascinating what you can put into the hair to like cool it or warm it. How are you guys doing? We're nearly done. How are you doing?
Good.
I think I'm gonna give her some little wild hairs that she would have, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just a little bit of here and there. It's that delicateness I think that sometimes is good for us. And then I'm gonna come over to the fingers, and for me, I'm gonna just define some here, like catching the tips and bringing that down just a little bit, that there's some hand there. Because I just lost her hand. Holy did, Mr. Cooney.
Well, that's all right. You know how to go find it again.
Gotta go find it. And I'll just come on the back of the arm, down a little bit, just to kind of explain glaze and talk about what I was doing there. Dry brush this out. Maybe soften that a bit. Now, skirt. I felt like it would be fun to have like, I don't know, some kind of interesting little bits of something at the back, maybe coming down. And so I'm making like these little colorful pieces, and then I'm gonna come get a little yellow. And I'm gonna load up a bit of my opera and some more of my yellow. I'm gonna try not to catch too much of the green, but I'm gonna do an interesting thing. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna dry brush. See how I'm doing?
Oh yeah.
To give it that, to talk about the tool that might be. So this is possible because, you know, the paper's rough, my brush is not all the water that it could take in it. Right up to here, maybe a little bit. And I'm going to want to do an interesting thing here. I'm going to want to make some little flowers that might come down as if they're at the back of her dress. If you painted with me for a while, you might have seen me put some flowers on some dresses.
That's true.
Suggested that I paint a lot of girly things recently. But I'm working on it. I don't know. Working on it. I'll get a little more of my yellow, pull out there. Just give her a nice little costume, right? A little tutu. Just a little frou-frou, little tutu. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to really load my brush, even maybe with some of this deeper red. I'm going to get this and I'm going to Make sure I also include some sort of expressive little lines that could be ribbons or elements that are more playful like that. And I may even imply a little bit coming off of her hair. And once I've done that, I'll say, I'm actually pretty happy. I may have to tighten some spaces around her limbs. Maybe even around her neck. And I'm just doing that by adding water. Making sure that they're tight enough to her. And then I'm going to get a little of this. I'll come over here and I will give it a playful little signature. The thing about watercolor when you're starting out, I think that's important to remember is that you've got to be a little bit goofy and a little bit free. It can be one of those mediums that at first seems super challenging, but when you understand what it's willing to do for you and how giving it is as a way of being creative, it gets really, really fun and addictive. So it's the kind of good habit you could take up every day. And it doesn't involve more fibers. That's good. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Check back often for new full lessons. And I want to see you. John wants to see you in the studio really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.